The point that this chapter is also trying to make, which we did this whole exercise about, is that women are good only for certain jobs. And we assume that women are only good for certain jobs. And there's this line, for example, many people believe that women make better nurses because they are more patient and gentle. I would actually agree with that. Is that too wrong to say?
No, it's not.
Right?
No, it's not. And, somewhere I feel that in our bid to question stereotypes are also, some of them at least, are also based on certain factual information, right? Women are more patient. They are more gentle.
Yes.
And if that role perhaps demands those attributes, then what is the harm?
Yeah.
Right? The problem arises when you say you can only do this and you can't do those 20 other things.
Right.
That's the problematic part.
Right.
But if you feel that say for instance, if you're in a rugby team, you need a certain physique to be in it, right? So if a person does not have that kind of physique, then you can't be a rugby player. Now, is that discrimination? No, it is. There are certain attributes that are required for you to be that.
Yeah.
So I think a very clear line needs to be drawn that yes, there are certain attributes that will make you do this job better. Now, you don't want somebody who has a fiery temper to become a nurse and kind of inject God knows what into the patient.
Yeah.
But I think the problem arises when you say कि तुम तो कुछ और नहीं कर सकते. This is the only thing you can do.
You can't become a doctor, you become a nurse.
You
That's
become a
when it's
nurse
problem.
only, right? Or where are you thinking of becoming a scientist or a coder? Please, those aren't the things that girls do.
Yeah.
That's the problem area.
Right.
So I think that make better nurses. I think there's nothing wrong with the sentence.
Yeah.
The thought can kind of be extended to say that it's limiting, that this is the limit within which you can do stuff.
Yeah, like just because you're patient and gentle, then you're meant to do this. You're not meant to do something else. Which is what the other line says. It is believed that science requires a technical mind, and girls and women are not capable of doing it. Yeah, this is the stereotype that.
This is the opposite, right? This is like the underside of this, right? That if you believe this, you also believe that.
But do you think when we did that whole exercise, we were actually doing this unconsciously, like stereotyping?
Of course. Like the first image that was coming to our mind.
Like the scientist thing, for example. Like we all said female.
Yeah.
I don't think I was stereotyping. It was the first image that came to me. It is not necessarily that I believe that image to be true.
Right.
As in, because I think of a pilot, only men can be pilots.
Right.
I don't think that is the case.
Yeah.
It's just that is what I'm used to seeing. But would I want to question it? Yes. But the exercise was, what is the first image that comes to your mind?
Right.
And that's the first image that comes to my mind, right?
But that's what, like the inference now, which immediately in the chapter, they start talking about stereotypes. So the exercise, basically what they're saying, this exercise that you did, you had this one image in your mind because you now think that women are good at certain things and men are not.
I get your connection, yeah.
Which is not true. I agree with you, actually.
Yeah.
I want to ask about journalists. Do you think there is if you had to choose a better gender to do it, is there, like, why did we all think of women? Do you think women make better journalists than men from anecdotal experience only?
I would say empathy is a very important factor. What would you say?
I absolutely think so. And I mean, women are far more detailed. They have more empathy. And I've seen this at work, right? They will invariably make that extra effort to find out more. This is just my experience. I could be absolutely wrong.
Of course.
And I have been in newsrooms where 65 to 70% of the individuals working are women.
Right.
So there are certain beats that you see male journalists doing. That has also business, for instance, even politics to a certain extent.
Yeah. Right.
And that's because of the nature of how that reporting works, right?
The aggression and
not just
fighting.
the aggression. You have to sit with politicians. Then some of them also want you to drink with them.
Environment,
And crime as well, right? With a lot of police officers, if you want to get the story or the khabar out, you always have to sit and kind of, have a couple of drinks. And a lot of women find that difficult to do because it invariably actually,
Threatens their safety.
Can threaten their safety, or they might be approached or somebody makes a pass at them. So just to avoid that, I think that's where women can't. But other than that, I feel so reporting. I felt that it's always like it's skewed towards male more, primarily because of this.
Interestingly enough,
but journalists, you think?
I think journalists, women are a better gender to do journalism.
Right.
As controversial as that might sound, but yes,
it's true.
Interestingly enough, you mention political reporting and how men are doing it. War reporting, though, I have seen so many women doing such a great job. Like Barkha is one, but like even now with like the Taliban situation, so many women doing those jobs and very effectively. War reporting, conflict reporting.
Yeah, even Barkha's mom was a great war reporter.
Yeah. Even the Bengal violence. So Monidipa from NDTV, she was there. Again, such a sweet old lady who is just there. The entire village is burning behind her and she's calmly reporting. And she did that for years. Okay, every election in West Bengal, she was on the ground.
Wow. Yeah.
She was like, ye piche chal raha hai, main report kar rahi hu. And she's so calm and she's so great at it, right? So she's retired, unfortunately, now. But I specifically think of her when I'm thinking of like even conflict zone reporting. I would say this is also conflict zone.
And even disaster reporting. Again, that level of empathy to actually know how to tell that story, I feel comes much more naturally to women.
Right.
I must mention some of my ex-colleagues here. So Nidhi did this. Nidhi broke the story of Hathras. So she was there.
Yes.
And I was actually, that is when I actually realized what you mean, because Akansha, Nidhi, both women who went to cover these stories and they were going through the villages, their eye of looking at the story was like, sure, this event happened. So if I would have gone there, I would be like, acha, ye event hua hai, ye hua hai. I would talk to the victims, I would talk to the family and whatever. They profiled the entire village. And they were like, why did this situation happen? Like, what led to this situation? What are the other women facing there, and can it happen to them as well? Right? And that was, I didn't even think of that angle. And that made me realize why it's so important to have women on the ground reporting on these sort of sensitive stories.
Yes.
Even with farmer protests, I realized this again, like Nidhi, the way Nidhi was reporting versus the way I was reporting was very different.
Interesting.
Yeah, and like I was asking dumb questions to farmers. That was my spiel. I was going there, मुझे agriculture के बारे में घंटा पता है, मैं जाऊंगा और पूछूंगा कि भैया हो क्या रहा है. But Nidhi, when she went, she specifically focused on the women farmers because of the same reason which is given in this chapter. Like most of the women there were like, we are the people who work on the farms, man. These men are going forward and leadership kar rahe, but we are the ones who are actually working there. And she saw that. And therefore she was the one who was going around and doing that. So, yeah, I would also agree. Very interesting.
And also one thing which I think a lot of men will not agree with, especially when you're inside a newsroom, right? I've worked in television only, so I can talk about a TV newsroom. It's a very high pressure job, right? Because you're constantly, it's like second by second, right? I've seen women being far more calmer under that kind of pressure, and I've seen a lot of men break.
Okay,
so
interesting.
It's a very interesting thing,
What
and I've
do you
seen it
mean
across
break?
3 newsrooms.
What do you mean break?
So, see what happens, say for instance you're breaking news, right? And you there's something called a telecast or a rundown, and it's all set, say half an hour before you actually, so it's a constant process. One is on air and the next one is getting ready, right? And suddenly news breaks, and that entire rundown is completely junked, right? And you have to just go with the breaking. Now, this is a very fast-paced process. Like within 15 seconds, you have to change everything, right? And it's going live on air, so you can't make any mistakes. By and large, I mean, I have seen women handle that kind of pressure much better. I'm not saying that women don't crack under pressure, no, but they do a far better job than men.
Is it because by the virtue of being women, they have always been under pressure from society, so they are just like, whatever, we can handle newsroom pressure, because there's just so much resistance from the world where you are trying to be yourself.
Could be. I haven't psychoanalyzed it, but I think women are much better multitaskers.
Right.
So they can do 2-3 things at the same time. They'll handle this also, they'll do this, they're giving instructions also.
Right.
And I feel that men by and large, can do one task very well at a time.
That's very true.
Don't you agree, Sakshi?
Yes.
She's
agreed.
thinking of 20 things right now.
Yeah, exactly.
How long will this continue?
Yeah.
What am I going to
इसने
edit?
break क्यों नहीं लिया अभी तक? She was thinking of
I'm
that.
just trying to keep track of this conversation. Men are dumb.